If you told me that the first Mummy movie came out in 1999 with Brendan Fraser, and I was only 12 years old when that movie released, I would think you were lying to me until I did the math. That movie franchise is almost 30 years old. That's insane. Does not feel like it should be that old. With all that being said, 30 years later, we are set for the Mummy 4. Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz, I believe is how you pronounce her name, are already in talks to be able to star in a sequel to the Mummy franchise and making a fourth installment of what is honestly such a fun, fantastic franchise. Like, I love the Mummy franchise. I'm a huge fan of Brendan Fraser. I think that he's obviously beloved. Like, right now, especially in Hollywood, like if you look at the actors that everyone just adores, you have Keanu Reeves at the top, which I don't understand that. I can't stand Keanu Reeves. So with that being said, he's up there at the top of people who love him. After Keanu Reeves, like Brendan Fraser is up there. And I think that obviously his absence in Hollywood, I think people forgot just how good of an actor he is. And when he came back and he was like in The Well, for example, such a good movie and really elevated by his performance in that movie. So Brendan Fraser can act, right? Like he can do comedy, he can do action. Can he do it now, right? Like, can he do it at his age 30 years later after the first Mummy movie? It sounds like we're going to find out. So, if you want to be able to read the story, Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, all of them have the story out there. Like, you can Google it, you can find it, right? Not a whole lot there other than the people who are attached to it. But talking about this Mummy movie, the Mummy number 4, I gotta tell you, I didn't realize how excited I was going to be for it until I heard that they were actually going to do it. This is going to be really awesome. I think because the third Mummy movie aside, which I thought was actually pretty terrible, the first 2 Mummy movies did a really good job of giving us this like old school Hollywood feel. Kind of like almost like throwback to like the early days of film, but still being fun and exciting and funny and giving us like a lot of great action for a movie that was honestly kind of ahead of its time, right? So Mummy 4 coming out, I think that Brendan Fraser, like, it's all going to depend on like his physical ability to be able to do it and like what he's going to be able to bring to the table at his age. But hear me out. Mummy 4 giving us a little bit of that nostalgia that we got 30 years ago. Some of the fun, some of the flavor, some of the comedy, some of the humor. It would be easy to be able to come at us and say, okay, here we are. It's 30 years later. Here's their stupid kid, which I couldn't stand the kid in the third movie. Here's their stupid kid. Let's go ahead and build around him. And Brendan Fraser will just be attached to it. He'll be the sidekick. He'll be a glorified cameo in this Mummy 4 movie. That would be super disappointing to me. What I want out of this movie is I want the Mummy meets National Treasure. I thought National Treasure, like, it's a damn shame we haven't got a third movie of the National Treasure movies. I thought they're fun. They're honestly a little bit educational, if I'm being honest. But the one things that they did really well is that they gave a really fun family dynamic, especially with the second one. And I think that you could do this with a Mummy 4. You're obviously going to have to address that their son is a part of it, and that's fine. But you need to make sure that Brendan Fraser is the star of this movie if you really wanted to be able to hit all the nostalgia kicks, right? So where they could go with the storyline, I don't care. Like, give us a good, fun movie. I think it would be really cool to be able to see Brendan Fraser come back and kind of continue his resurgence into Hollywood. But let's pause for a second. If Brendan Fraser, who's already made a comeback, but if he's revisiting some of the old IPs that he's been a part of, there's 2 movies that I really want to see him come back for sequels to. The first one would just be fun. Like if I don't get it, I'm not going to lose any sleep over. But it's going to be Bedazzled. If you ever saw the Bedazzled movie, it was so fucking funny. Brendan Fraser did such a great job in that movie. And basically the premise is he makes a deal with the devil and he's able to get like 3 wishes or whatever, right? And Through the course of that, like every wish he makes, he kind of fucks it up because there's always like loopholes and clauses into it and stuff like that. So it goes down the line of him like making these mistakes to try to be able to get this girl that he loves to be able to love him back and everything. Obviously, it ends pretty typical, very charming. But the course of the events and the different characters that he plays, like versions of himself that he plays through the movie, super funny. Bedazzled too, I would love it. But my favorite Brendan Fraser movie is Blast from the Past. If you haven't seen that movie, so Brendan Fraser, he plays a kind of a younger to middle age kid guy, excuse me, whose parents thought that a bomb had dropped during World War II and had left him, I think it was World War II, anyways, whatever. They went down into their bomb shelter, and it actually just happened to be a plane that crashed in their backyard. And they've lived in this bomb shelter for like 30 years, and they realize they're starting to run out of supplies. So they don't know what's on the outside world. They're afraid of the outside world. So they send their son, Brendan Fraser, to the outside world to be able to go and see if he can get the supplies that they need. So it's this guy who is trapped in what his parents' version of their world was in the 60s and 70s, and trying to be able to learn what the world is like now in the like 90s, 2000s. It's a hilarious movie. Brendan Fraser does a good job. Alicia Silverstone was the other star in the movie, and I think if you're going back to that world of nostalgia, obviously I'm sure the majority of people would want to see a Clueless sequel. I don't really care about Clueless, but I would love to see her and Brendan Fraser in a sequel to Blast from the Past. I just thought it was such a fantastic movie. But either way, we're going to get a Mummy 4, it sounds like. I'm all for it. So what do you think, however? Like, drop it in the comments. Let me know. Are you excited for a Mummy 4? Do you like the Mummy franchise? And, like, do you think that Tom Cruise is a little pissed off about this? Because, man, his reboot of it was not good.